So our differentiation comes from the focus that we have. The focus is about these two things. Like you would have seen many incubators in academic institution, and we find that, okay, we are general purpose incubator. IISc also has that, but the perspective from our side was, no, we really need to look at India from a future standpoint. And I think you heard ABB and you heard Anand having their perspective given, but I think I want to leave for this audience a view. While we touched upon that, there is an implication to the numbers that I think Anand and ABB talked about. 8,000 is a robo right now, but that's fine. And they talked about a growth from 12% to 17% in manufacturing, and they talked about 17 to 25 now. But if you look at 2047, which is the goal set for $25 trillion economy, and if you assume that you will remain even 17% of that economy as manufacturing in India, it implies what? It implies that today you are at $3.5 trillion. I'm sorry, I'm an academic plus industry guy, so I have to talk about numbers so that you understand the implication of when we focus on ARTPARK, what it means to us and why we are doing it. So when you look at that number, 3.5 trillion today, and look at 17% of that, you are somewhere, $510 to $550 billion economy as a manufacturer, just on $3.5 trillion with 17% what you are giving to the GDP. And if you look at the number, okay, set goal is $25 trillion. Even if you do $20 trillion and you become 25%, as a GDP contribution, you're talking about a $5 trillion number. Now that $600 billion or $500 billion from today to $5 trillion number of economy is the potential of the group sitting here and the large manufacturers, including my friends who were there backside. They're not here, but they need to understand what they are doing. This is what India's goal is. We are talking about that change. And that means manufacturing has to grow multifold and is going to become the destination for the globe. That's the goal which the government has set, and we remain connected with the ecosystem, and that's an implication for the people sitting here. That's the potential that we have. And with the focus that was given, and that's what Satish was trying to talk about, if you're looking at that 5 trillion growth, you have to talk about an industry of manufacturing reshaping itself completely. That's what the people were saying, that you will see the numbers going. Okay, 60% is fine, but that's 8,000. That density which ABB shared will be nothing, even though and this job going, I think there is just no way you will be going it. You have the manpower which is not going to be sufficient to make $5 trillion of manufacturing. So I think it is completely a misnomer saying that the job is going to go with the automation. So I think the leaders of manufacturing and the companies who are sitting here and the companies who are outside as an ecosystem between the multinational and Indian manufacturing, there's an opportunity which we cannot ignore. And I think that's the focus which I want to set the context with, which we are presenting. So our objective was, how do we look at that opportunity of India and do from IISc a different aspect, saying that what do we do in this model where India is going there, and how do we enable India for that? That's the perspective, and that's how it was set up. And I had a good opportunity to work with our current director, who was dean at that time, and look at setting up this dimension with support from DST. And so ARTPARK is, as you can see, 4 core supporter: Ministry of Heavy Industry, Department of Science and Technology, and Government of Karnataka. All of us supported us with a seed grant over 5 years for roughly 270 crores. And the dimension is to create, and the model I will talk to you about so that you get a view of that dimension. I think our themes, as I said, remains to be AI-enabled autonomous systems and really creating a future around that. It takes machine, it takes software, it takes everything inside as an integrated view of innovation, and looking at the domain segments that are listed there. So I think mobility, industrial automation, defense, we believe that's important. Wars will be fought differently. Today you don't go to the bank, today you don't go to the hospital, same thing is going to happen. No human is going to go to front. but everything will happen. And that's the question that we are looking for. So if you look at the opportunity for manufacturing, it's just immense, and we'll talk about that in a while. Now, what is the difference between us and others? If you look at innovation as a model, you see the gap there. Institutions like us, academia, is between TRL 1 to 3 to at most 4. And these are called technology research levels. When industry is on the other side, which 1, 7, 8, 9, which means go to the market. If you look at the descriptions of 9 and each of the levels there, you are talking about you have to go to the production scale, go to field market, maintain and get that capability. Who is bridging this? And I think crux of our problem in India is that there is no one to bridge this. They are outside. And that's what we are trying to do. We are trying to bridge that gap with this funding, and it's not small, because that's the case study which Satish is asking us to share here. And we want the multinational to join this. We want Indian manufacturing companies to join this, because we cannot drive the change that we are expecting from India in isolated manner, within the companies or within academia or within multinational, any of that. We have to come together and bridge this gap which is left. How do you make a R&D? And you talked about, everybody talks about ChatGPT now, but 5 years back we knew the multimodal AI language is coming. Who was looking at? And by the way, ChatGPT did not come out from academic institution. It came out from a company. Which means that innovation has no boundary, because academia and an industry work so much together in that. And we all sing gaga about it. Our problem is we don't imagine. We have to start imagining first. And then we have to look at innovating. Because then the academia and industry merge. How many of us we know, if I ask 10 years down the line what you want to be a manufacturer as? Given the vision of $1 trillion that I set for you, what kind of manufacturing you will be? We don't understand that. We don't imagine that. So that's the first part of the discussion, from where then research comes. Research guys are working like us, who will work, okay, that there is a future, I want to go to Micron, I'm going to look at petaflops, going into a computing, which can go into a miniature. What do I do with it? Now, if someone says, no, I'm going to have in a defense sense, I want to have a space bar and really look at 1 minute, do something else. Or I want to make agriculture to happen in a desert in time zone of 3 months. Is that a possibility? Now the question comes different. Can we imagine that that can be done? And then all this aspect of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, how do we look at that enablement is the question. And this is what we are bridging with a focus area on AI and robotic and autonomous system. I will give you a few examples and then I'll get you the case study. So how we look at it in work is we define core themes. And we are an academic institution, which has set up this Section 8, which is supposed to give output to the industry, to TRL, to TRL 9, through the startup. We cannot become engineers. We know that we will give a research, we will give an output which can be used in the translational phase, and those are the young people who are going to be out and delivering to the industry. And that's what Kaushik is an example from. And we have a model that we can get the talent from anywhere in the world. It may sound to you 200 crore is high, but if you have to get a great talent, then only you can get something else. You can find good talent in India everywhere. Any of you guys have seen a movie called Ratatouille? This is a digression. If you have not seen the movie, watch a movie called Ratatouille. And there was a story which begins with it saying that anybody can cook. And doesn't mean that everybody can cook as well. But the whole cooking model is centered around chefs and good stuff and good restaurant. But I think the movie theme says anybody can cook. And the meaning towards the end, a critic comes out with it, who is a very good critique for food. He comes out and says that I never realized that, yes, what the meaning of anybody can cook is. It means a good cook can come from anywhere. So anybody can cook and can be great. And in that movie, it ends up to be a rat which becomes a cook in a great place. You cannot imagine. So therefore, the talent can come from anywhere. A good idea can come from anywhere. You can tap them from anywhere. And that's the potential of India is, and the growth and the ambition that the young guys is. It is for us to leverage that. With that intention, we have set up this model. It is a model we are trying up. We are set up only in 2021. We hit with COVID. We did a lot of work immediately at that time was X-ray Setu, where we just looked at change from everything else, saying just the chest X-ray should be able to tell us the disease, move fast. And our speed of innovation, Satish has seen as to how quickly we change when he comes with the review from one review in 3 months to next. But given the time is limited, I'll just leave it and give to you about, you saw all this data, and what we did it's the Cameras program, which we are talking about, Center for Autonomous Manufacturing and Robotic Autonomous System, which we have set up with the MHI follow-on grant of 80 crore from them to focus on the autonomous system. This is the growth. So the potential by 2030 for the robotics in this country is unlimited. We don't have to produce only for ourselves, we can produce for the world. That capability is there. And this journey for me as a personal experience, if anybody believes China is cheaper, they are wrong. We can beat Chinese cost. And I can tell you in this experimentation of what we are doing with the startup here, realistically, we are able to produce the cost of equipment which is much lesser. The Pune, the Bangalore, Pune, and the ecosystem of the manufacturing and precision has gone up so much by the young people that we have to really leverage it to figure it out that we can do it at any cost. And that's a reality. I can produce for them at any cost. And we have made it cheaper. I think this slide is just to say what are your big players. You saw all of them. And you'll find rarely the number of Indian companies here are very less. And this is current state. You are looking at $5 trillion. These are the current players. Few are Indian players. And the question is that poses an opportunity. We see it as an opportunity for everybody to come together in our ecosystem and really build products from India for the globe and for our own market. And that's the potential we need to create for ourselves. And I think you have all types of people here, which is what we are going to be looking at. I'm just leaving it for you to as a thought. Given this perspective, we figured it out what is the challenge working with the ministry. And I think high import dependence is very much a fact. We have some numbers and we will talk to you about it. We I think are importing 9,000 crore plus of robotic and autonomous systems in those previous categories from currently. Now, if you are able to look at that opportunity and the scale of this at the speed which the world is moving and start manufacturing, you manufacture machines. Future machines are going to be robots only. And that's the question. How do you look at that dimension of shifting the machine tool? The whole machine tool is still looking at machine. But what about thinking the machine itself has to become and transform to a robot? You have seen, again, I keep the examples of movies, you have seen all those transformer machines. Everybody has seen that movie, enjoys it, but that's a machine which is flexible and changing itself to do any job, if you really see that. And that's nothing but an autonomous and intelligent robot of the future. We have not built it yet. Of course, that's a dimension, but it is going to happen. You like it or not, it will be happening soon by someone. We don't know who that is, whether we do it in India or somebody else does it. Space station. Do you think who is going to go to the space station? Sunita is stuck. Sunita Williams is stuck. And we all know that. Do you think future space station will be manned? They will be managed by robots. And that's if you have seen the news recently from ISRO and we work with them, they are talking about the space stations to be managed by robots. And that's fine. It's going to happen. So whether we like it or not, world is changing. Whether we are ready for it, world is changing. And that's a reality. Question is, how do we look at it? How do we change now? And how we keep the momentum of innovation going forward?